Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. We are taking apart the dashboard and the interior, or what's left of it, on the Challenger today. And if you haven't noticed, under my flannel, we got some new merch. Check that stuff out later. For right now, like I said, we're gonna get the dashboard out. I've already started taking it out, and we've got some old broken plastic. Take a look. Yeah, that's just wonderful. If you've looked for these, your own restoration, these plastic parts are not cheap. So my goal is to attempt to plastic weld them back together. A lot of the damaged areas are under the steering column and under where you're really gonna see, mostly where your knees are gonna hit. So nothing should be terribly visible once it's all reassembled in the car, but we're gonna try and do the best we can to save the parts that are here. Now, I know you can take the dash out in one piece. It's heavy, and that usually requires or suggests having a helper. I don't have one at the moment, so I'm just taking this apart little by little, documenting so I know how it goes back together. But we're gonna get the dashboard out. We've got a new dash cap to put on. The tri-gauge cluster down there is not going back in. The heater box has to come out. The shift linkage has to come out, and then we're almost ready to prime inside here. The one thing, we have the old Pioneer radio cassette deck. If you recognize this, you're old like me. I think our goal replacing this is probably going to be a period correct face on it, but something that just has Bluetooth in it and possibly an amp in the trunk with some basic speakers. Not a huge sound system in here, but who has cassettes anymore? And even CDs are not really a thing anymore. So that's our goal, at least on that front. More on that later. But I'm just gonna keep taking this apart. There's not a lot of room for you and me in there. So we'll come back when the rest of this is gutted out, see what we've got to work with, and see what needs to be repaired. And we'll keep moving on from there. Well, it's a few days later, and I made a mistake the other night when I was taking this stuff out. I thought I hit record after the last segment when I pulled everything out, and I didn't. So that footage is not available. Anyways, moving forward, we did get the dashboard out. On the trunk is the heater box, and they're both kind of a mess. Let's just take a look. So the dashboard itself here, I did get a number, I got all the gauges out. They're all sitting on the roof. Gotta catalog those, put the parts away. But this part here, this tri-gauge setup, that's going away. A lot of these plastic bits, we're gonna try and save what we can. A couple of them are cracked, like I mentioned. Hopefully you got that part. We'll try and fix them, like around here. Some of these parts are cracked. We'll try and plastic weld them. This thing here is damaged. Neat. This vent here is sitting over there somewhere. Glove box, ashtray. Big part is that we have to get this old cover off. Now it pretty much just tears off, which is, I guess, good. But I've got some more stripping to do. The plan is the wiring harness is going to get replaced, because there have been other fixes done in the past that weren't really fixes. And we also were going with big blocks, so at least everything firewall forward needs a different harness. And back here, we may swap out this old fuse block. There it is down here. And the fuse panel, this goes through the firewall here and comes out. But given we are changing up that harness, This may need to be swapped out too. I mean, look, there's just wires stabbed into where there's fuses. That's not good. Maybe we'll look at a different option. This is just, yeah. So back here, like I said, here's one of those vents. That's again broken. Maybe it can be plastic welded and fixed. We'll see. In here it is dark, but most of the stuff is out. I have this vent up here that come out for the defroster, and then just cleaning because there is just more stuff all over the place that came out. Evidence back here in the heater box, you can see there's bird feathers. Good chance I've got the hantavirus now. This just needs to be gone through and cleaned. I don't know how to test this to see if everything even works yet. It would kind of be a shame to put everything back in the car and have something not work, so we'll have to check with Darren on that. But everything looks to be intact. This goes to the switch on the dash for all your heater vent controls. This is an AC car, or it was an AC car, hoping to put AC back in it. We've got plenty of parts. Oh, here's a condenser there, or the compressor there. So we've got all the parts to do it. We just got to figure out where they all went. So I think what's left for me to do is finish cleaning out the inside here. Get the shift lever out. And I think that's about it for the inside before I can get that whole thing scuffed and ready for primer. There are a couple of little just holes. I'm going to patch those up. We don't need to replace the entire tub. That is way overkill. It's just maybe 2 or 3 spots that have, like a pea-sized hole, and those can be pretty easily remedied and made so there's no more hole. But after that, well, like I said, here's the inside. It's pretty barren now. So I'll go ahead and get this prepped for prime, and a little bit of extra work left to do, here, but of course, this is another challenge. Anyways, let's go ahead and get the rest of this thing cleaned out inside so we can move forward. Well, this seems like a good place to stop. I need to, well, A, do a little more cleaning in here. No one wants to see me run around with a shop vac and just suck stuff out of here. But B, I've got to go grab a kid from daycare, run some errands. So when we come back to wrap this up, I'm going to have the inside of this thing all cleaned up, at least in terms of getting ready to scuff it for epoxy primer. Weather is still not terribly friendly for painting. It's 50 degrees down here today and raining. Been raining most of the last day, so not a good painting day. So I'm going to leave the decades of rusty crusties on here for a few more days to protect that bare metal, so when I do come down to scuff it, I'm ready to paint it, weather pending. So let me just wrap this up and I'll come right back. We've done a bunch of cleanup inside, and so dashboard's out, heater box is out, a lot of the miscellaneous stuff is out of that area up on the firewall, and I've gone ahead and cleaned off some of the areas in the back seats, under the back seats, and there is definitely some rust through, not enough to warrant completely replacing the pan in the back. That's just not going to happen. Just a couple little pinholes and plops here and there. There's maybe a few pieces the size of a pea. Let me show you. So there's a little spot here on the passenger side, and then over on the driver's side there's a little more of a spot. You can see my camera will focus. There we go. I'm going to try and patch in this spot here since there are a couple of areas that are a little larger, but otherwise just a couple of little, like I say, grape size, it's not even grape size, maybe pea-sized holes, and I'm just going to work on filling those in from the back. If you remember, long ago, passenger side has a new floor pan. That's done. Driver's side, I did go ahead and just hit it up with the wire wheel just to see if I could knock any areas loose before I did more work for primer prep. But really, just this area in the back seat here I've got to work on. So I'm going to go ahead and fire up the good old Vulcan 220, and I've got some backers for welding, open holes, but I don't think I can reach under there and hold them in place and weld. So we're probably just going to build up around the hole. It's probably going to be a little messy from the underside, but so be it. Darren says just patch away and make it good. So that's what we're going to do. So yeah, let me just point you down there, grab my welding helmet, and we'll get to it. It's a new day here in the shop, and last night we finished up welding and grinding, and today a little more welding and grinding. The patches in the floor, and I did just end up spotting around and plugging up these holes. I figured I'd make a bigger mess if I try to cut out and make patch panels, and considering everything is going to be primed, painted, covered in insulation mat and carpeting, you're never going to see it. So most they'll do is go underneath when we're putting the car back together and touch up any little strands of wire that came through and make sure that area is prepped and protected with undercoating. Let's take a quick look at it. Alrighty, so as I said, it is not perfect, but it's a whole lot better than what was there. Same thing over here on the driver's side. Again, it is not perfect, but the important thing was to make sure the holes are filled and to keep any additional moisture out. And that is going to wrap up this chunk here. I really wanted to get this thing sandblasted and getting ready for epoxy primer. But today it's 75 and sunny outside. Tomorrow is going to be cold and rainy, and I don't want to leave bare metal exposed any longer than I have to. So we're going to have to come back to that when the weather wants to cooperate with us. I need a good 2-3 days in a row of good weather so I can go ahead, get this thing prepped, stripped out the paint out of it, and ready for primer. Might give us an opportunity to fire up our new booth over there, get that thing set up as well. So I think for the moment, this is going to be stationary. I do still somewhere over here have the hood I have not even touched. So I'm going to start taking that apart, getting that also prepped and ready. So as soon as we have some good weather, we can just start priming everything, put things back together. I know I've got some other touch-up stuff here and there, but by and large, I should be able to get the hood back on, hang the front fenders and get those lined up and do any final body work with them on the car. I know there are still some dings and dents that I have to pull out when they're attached to the vehicle versus just loose, because that just doesn't work. So for that being said, hopefully you've liked this. Again, slow little bits of progress, but I want to keep showing something so I don't go a month between videos. Sorry I can't have things out every week like I have for the last almost 5 years, but life happens. Anyways, thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button below, drop a comment, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.